Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing another movie review, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This movie is a horror film from Italy, English language, released in the year 2019, directed by Luca Guadagnino, and this film is called Suspiria. So Suspiria is about this beautiful young woman from the United States. She's been accepted into a prestigious dance school in Berlin, Germany. So she goes to Berlin, she's all alone, but fairly soon she gets to know the classmates and also the teachers, and she pretty much feels at home very soon. So the head teacher takes a liking to this person, that she says that she's got a lot of talent, but she needs to harness that talent, and that hopefully she's going to be able to show her how to do that. So she gets a very strong bond with a particular classmate, and they start to spend days practicing their dance routines. But unfortunately, as the days progress, the main character starts to suspect that there is something sinister behind the staff, and that sinister feeling that she has might actually be threatening not only her life, but the life of everyone inside this school. So what that secret is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Suspiria. I didn't really know what to expect coming into this movie, because I heard that it was a remake of the Dario Argento classic. Now the Dario Argento classic, I know it's a very unpopular opinion, but I believe that's very much overrated. It was a very stylish film, it was beautiful to look at, but apart from that, it didn't really do anything for me. So coming into this movie, I was bracing myself for a typical sort of remake, but what I loved about this movie the most was the fact that it's a reimagining. And so Luca Guadagnino is acknowledging the fact that, Suspiria is a classic, and to respect that classic as much as he does by creating something a little bit different. And so it's not a carbon copy, it's not a movie that's a shot-for-shot remake that's there for the sole purpose of basically capitalizing on this particular film's fan base. Is that it's very easy to do. You just recycle something that's been successful. It's a recipe for success, and unfortunately a lot of these remakes fall victim to this. But when I realized that this movie was going in a slightly different direction, I thought, okay, well, this is something I really have to appreciate. And so Luca Guadagnino, yes, he does pay respect to the original source material, but he's paying even more respect to it by not carbon copying it, not just a cash grab, and actually treating these classics for what they are. And so this movie is a different kind of feel of it. So if you're actually expecting a typical Dario Argento sort of feel, then you might be a little bit disappointed. But like the original, this is a very stylish film, but the stylized nature of this movie is very subdued, and that subdued quality actually creates a very tense environment, and the atmosphere I thought was fantastic in this film. And what I liked about it is that it actually felt like a movie that was a lot older than it is. And that's because of the grey effect that the film has. The movie is definitely lacking in vibrant colouring, and so the vibrant colours in the original was what really stood out. But this movie goes the opposite direction, and opposite direction creates that very dreaded environment. It's an environment that you feel as though something is very uneasy and something is going on, and you don't really like being there, but there's got that hypnotic quality about it. Basically the way that these characters go about their business. You've got the outside of Berlin. A lot of this movie, it's raining, and I thought that rain, when you have a rainy day, you don't feel as good, you don't feel as happy as you would when the sun's out. So the lack of sun in this film is through the visuals of that dreariness, and the dreariness I thought really captured me, and it's a very European style of feel that I had, and I actually was really impressed with the production levels of the movie. I thought the camera angles were very subdued, a lot of it is static sort of angles, which is something that you get from a lot of Michael Haneke films, and that's something I really liked. And I thought the acting performances were very good as well. You got Tilda Swinton, who actually plays more than one character. I thought she was very impressive. Like everything that she does, she's always someone to really admire as far as acting is concerned, and she makes the most out of what she's given by this director. You've also got Mia Goth. Now, I'm a massive fan of Mia Goth, and she plays one of the main character's friends, and I thought her role wasn't the best, but it was still good to see her in the film. And you've got a whole host of other actors who do reasonable jobs in what they're given. And so I thought that there are some scenes in this movie that were very brutal, much the same as the Dario Argento classic. There was one scene in particular involving a dance sequence that I thought was very unique, and it was very, very barbaric. It was actually very cringeworthy, and I actually loved that scene. Just the way that it was shot, I thought it was creative, and that creative liberty within this world that the movie is set in, it really summed up the whole feeling. It was that it was just really creepy, and so the creepiness is in basically every ounce of this film. And so that one particular kill scene I absolutely loved. I'm not going to give it away, but it's during a dance scene, and this woman is in another room, and so the things that start happening to her I thought were absolutely ghastly, and it's very, very brutal. It doesn't need a lot of blood to actually shock an audience. It's just the sound effects and the way that this character goes about what she's doing. I have to be careful not to give anything away, but when you see the film, you'll know exactly what I mean. So it's a nastier kind of movie, and that's something, again, that I appreciated. exaggerated because the original source was actually very brutal as well. But unfortunately, that's where the positive stop for me, is that yes, it's an impressive looking film, it's very well made, the acting performances are fine, and some of the set pieces as far as the horror is concerned were very impressive, but I just think it goes for way too long. And like the original, I definitely believe that this movie is overrated. So the movie goes for 2.5 hours, and I wouldn't have minded that if it left a lot more to the imagination. Is that this movie basically doesn't leave a lot to the imagination. It spells a lot of stuff out for you. So you know where the threat's coming from, and because you know where the threat's coming from, there is a certain sense of control on the film, is that the main character is oblivious, but I thought as though, okay, I'm one step ahead. And because I'm one step ahead, it does create a little bit of monotony. And the monotonous quality of the runtime actually starts to shine through. About 3/4 of the way in, I started to lose my investment in the movie. And that was the biggest criticism. And I think that if the director left a little bit more curiosity and mystery up in the air, it would have actually worked a lot better. But, how do you do that with a film that goes for 2.5 hours? And so that's something that I really didn't like. And I really didn't like the overall revelation at the end. I thought it was a little bit cheap, and it's something that you've seen before. And so I thought, all right, well, it didn't really fit in. And this is a movie that has a lot of hype. A lot of people loved it, each to their own. If you're one of those people, then, good for you. Please leave your comments countering these arguments if you feel free. I'm brutally honest, and I appreciate brutally honest feedback. And so for me, I just expected a lot more, and that's unfortunately what I got from the Dario Argento film, is that everyone praised that movie. As I said, each to their own. But for me, I believe it's one of the most overrated horror films out there, and I believe that this reimagining, yes, there is a lot to admire about it. Basically the creativity and the fact that this is a director who's not trying to just copy something that's a successful recipe. I can really appreciate that, and there are some very good set pieces, but as far as a 2.5 hour film, I just don't think the content was there to actually fully invest my time from start to finish. And that's ultimately the reason why I was left a little bit disappointed from this movie. And so a lot of people will tell you that it's an absolutely fantastic experience, but for me, yes, there was a lot to like about it as far as production. Yes, there were some moments that were good, but as an overall piece, I don't think the consistency was there to actually warrant it for as long as it goes. And I thought it's outstayed its welcome. And by the end, I checked out, and I didn't really appreciate how things tied up, and so that was the biggest criticism of this movie. So it's still a film that looks good, but unfortunately, apart from that, it just didn't really do anything for me, and as a result of that, I'm going to give this film 3 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.